So where do you think the line stops? Like, you guys agreed to no kid zone, but like in the grand scheme of things, you guys are admitting that if there is harm to the store owner, the store owner has some right.
How
to
much
restrict.
choice do we give
Yes.
them?
Like, for example, clubs, sometimes if you're over the age of 30, they're saying you can't come in.
Yeah.
Or like, even to girls, they're like, if you're wearing open-toe shoes, you can't come in.
Right.
They're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you just have to accept like
At
some
an
rules
age
are
is
rules.
different. It's a
It
business.
could go back to like the 1930s and 20s where there were
No
like
women
no
or
colored.
No men.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you think the no kid zones thing is aggravating the low birth rate?
Absolutely. If I were
Absolutely?
to have a kid, I would think about how kid-friendly is the society.
Mhm.
Korea is not a kid-friendly.
It's just like the hassle, right? Us, we can go anywhere,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Without
then
planning,
The
without
parents
planning.
will have to literally be like, oh, check first if it's a no
If it's-
kids.
Yeah,
zone.
well, when you become a parent, there are loads of things that you suddenly have to
Yeah,
do.
I know.
Yeah, but let's make
saying
it
though,
easier
like-
as a society.
Yeah, yeah.
Bringing Korea one slice closer to the world with extraordinary and fun toppings. Welcome to the Korean Pizza Club, KPC. I'm your host, David Kim, and we have our regulars here today again.
Hey guys, I'm Soobeanie.
My name is Anna,
Hi, I'm Kelsey the Korean on YouTube.
Okay, so you all know them by now.
the best,
Yes,
the best crew.
panel,
Yeah.
the most
Kelsey,
They like us
we
the
missed
best.
you. We missed you.
Really? Did I miss something?
Last
Oh,
Oh, I was
last
sick
time.
last
Yeah.
time. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
not hating
Missed
on me.
you.
I was sick.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we can go straight on into the topic today. This is a very controversial topic in
Yep.
Korea at the moment.
Mhm.
It's called the no kid zone
Oof.
controversy. Have you guys heard of this
Yes,
controversy?
it's on the news a lot.
Yeah, it's on the
Mm.
news. Actually, the Korean expression is no kid zone, and
Mm.
that's self-explanatory. But in the West, they call it the kids-free zone.
Mm.
It's kind of different, but you get the gist of it, right? Like no kids, kids-free.
Mm.
No kids sounds a little bit more like.
Yeah.
ooh.
Yeah,
What does
yeah.
it mean?
Yeah.
A little more
Yeah.
aggressive.
Mm.
No
Yeah,
kids.
aggressive.
Yeah.
So, can anybody explain what a no kid zone is?
So a no kid zone is when a restaurant or any kind of food or beverage place says explicitly that no kids are allowed, even when they're with their parents. And it's a huge controversy because in Korea, quite a lot of places disallow kids, even if it's just a casual dining place or a casual place, even if it's not like an alcohol selling place. So that's what no kid zones are.
Because they want it to be like
Mm.
peaceful and quiet and like no crying babies.
Yeah.
That's the purpose.
I mean, they have their surface level reasonings, which I will tell you
Yeah,
guys
yeah.
later. But yeah, in other words, it means a place where children are restricted from entering, as Kelsey said, restaurants and stores, blah, blah, blah. And children under the age of, you can set that, like it's up
Oh,
to the
really?
store
Yeah,
owner.
yeah.
So like children under the age of 12
9,
or
12,
9 or
yeah.
7
Mhm.
are not allowed, blah, 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 into a store without a guardian. So yeah.
No, even with a guardian.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
even
With
with
a
a
guardian.
guardian.
Exactly.
Mm,
So, have you actually seen a no kid zone before with your own eyes?
I actually haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it?
No.
me neither, because we tend to go out into places where it's like.
Yeah, maybe.
It's
The
no
bars.
kids anyway?
Yeah,
yeah,
bars and
maybe.
clubs.
I really
I haven't either. I've only seen them on the news.
Yeah.
But also the district I lived in is it's a student district anyway.
Mhm.
But I've heard that when it's like a city where families live in, there
That's true.
are quite a bit of no kids zones.
Yeah.
And then they would have to go to like a kids cafe.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
the
So,
specializing.
yeah, I've been to like a shindoshi. It's called Wide or something.
Mm.
And I went to a cafe and I literally saw like no kids zone hanging on the window. And there were a lot of families there, moms and stuff. They were all strolling, but it was a peaceful cafe because there was no kids.
Yeah,
so-
yeah.
yeah, you get it. So how it started, how the no kid zone started, do you know?
No,
Or-
tell
No.
us.
I mean, the moms say the legacy is because the cafe owners say that
Mm.
there were so many Karens that they had to do no kids zone because kids
Mm.
were pooping on the table. Kids were no, really, they were
Yeah.
being really loud. And then, but the moms, instead of apologizing, apparently they were
Mm.
like, "It's my child."
It's like 당연하듯이.
yeah, it's
like,
obvious. Like they're
oh.
being
It's a
Karens.
given.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so-
their excuse.
Obviously, there were a lot of cases like this, and it piled up, and the public got furious, and the store owners got furious. But what actually triggered it, there's like a legal case that triggered the no kid zone. So it was mostly because, as you said, ignorant parents irresponsibly not taking care of their children. But the actual like catalyst to it was safety issues.
Mm.
So when the kids were running around in a restaurant and like something was boiling hot, and then that
They got
spilled
hurt.
over the kid,
Ah.
he or she got burnt,
Mm.
and then there was a legal lawsuit,
Mm-mm-mm.
and the
Right.
parents were suing the restaurant owner,
Mm-mm-mm.
and the restaurant owner was like,
It's
you
your
didn't take care of your
responsibility.
kid, like
Yeah.
why are
Yeah.
you suing me, like
Yeah.
I can't take control of your kid, like spilling my hot
Yeah.
soup or whatever. And then the court actually ruled in favor to the parents.
Oh.
So it was the responsibility of the restaurant owner.
Yes.
That's
So
Mm.
BS.
that is. So the restaurant owner had to pay 40 million won for the child's
Oh.
burn and like
400만 원?
injury. 4천만 원.
40,000
Yeah.
USD.
Yeah, 40,000 USD, like
You
30,000
put
USD.
out of business.
Wow.
And the parental responsibility was ruled only 30% in that case. So this infuriated all the store owners out there, and they were like, "I'm not putting up with this risk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's just ban it anyways."
Mm.
And that became like the official start of a no kid zone, and then up till now, store owners are
Yeah. Because I've been actually babysitting these days, and whenever I go to the houses, they have protection covers on anything because they can't move their body that well, and they spill stuff, they get hit.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
normal restaurants for adults, they can't like plaster everything for the kids.
Yeah.
And then if you take your eyes off the kid for a second, they're gonna get hurt. And
Right.
then for the restaurant to pay 30,000, I mean, that's like too
That's
much.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me do a short research here. Do you guys agree? Which of you guys agree or disagree of having a no kid zone?
I think it's nice.
I personally agree on having a
Yeah.
no kid
No
zone,
kid
yeah.
zone. Okay.
I was
pro
gonna
no
say
kid zone?
disagree before I heard the law case.
You got
Because
mad now?
I like being integrated. Like even
With
I
kids.
don't even like no old people zone. I don't like that even in clubs.
Mm.
Like I think everyone in society should be able to integrate.
Yeah.
But that lawsuit just no kid zone. Then I have to.
Okay, so everybody's pro no kid zone.
Are
here.
you too? Are you? As
Yeah,
well?
yeah.
Uh,
Because the restaurant. Yeah.
Yeah, me? I have no thoughts on it, honestly.
Yeah, but
Come on, take a side. Come
Take a
on,
side.
keep asking us. You can't get past us.
Honestly, if I were to pick, like my selfish self would say pro. Yeah, no
Yeah,
kid
yeah.
zone.
Right,
yeah,
right.
I agree to having it, but I think a lot of our viewers might be,
really?
But it's the
this does-
restaurant owner's choice. If you want more baby customers, you
Yeah.
don't have to have the.
No, it's like
yeah.
a choice too. It depends on what type of atmosphere the restaurant is, or
Yeah.
like where it is, what type of cafe it is.
Yeah,
you
and
know?
if it's a ramen shop with boiling stuff everywhere, then maybe it's better.
yeah, or if I'm like trying to eat at like a very nice
Quiet.
wine Michelin like
Yeah.
dinner, I would not want to have
Screaming
like
babies.
a screaming baby
Yeah.
there.
Really?
You
I
know?
wouldn't mind. For me, like from the restaurant owner, I get it if the restaurant is hazardous and they don't want to like soften everything.
Yeah.
But I think it's mean to not allow kids at like nice places. They should be
Okay.
exposed.
Well, I definitely don't think they would be trying to make everything like baby proof for sure. You know what I mean? I don't
Mhm.
think any restaurant, unless it's like a kids cafe, I
Right.
don't think any restaurant would go out of their way to make anything baby proof.
Mhm.
It's just the parents will have to take care of it. Yeah.
So yeah, I see a good debate going on here. I see a lot of opinions ping
But like
ponging.
a lot of nice restaurants, they have like baby seats that they provide, and they
Yeah.
have like baby food and
Yeah.
stuff. So
Mhm.
But
yeah.
some places don't even have baby seats. There's so many places in Korea that don't have baby seats
Yeah.
or like anything.
I feel like
Right.
that when I was living in the West, I saw that
Yeah.
was way more common than in
like
Korea.
high chairs
Yeah.
and stuff.
It's less children friendly.
Yeah,
here.
definitely
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Korea. I think
So yeah, as I said, there's a lot of nice points being thrown here and there. But let's just start with the safety aspect first.
Mhm.
So people who agree to the no kid zone, on the surface level at least, say that the no kid zone is crucial for safety issues, as the aforementioned case. Like the kids might run around and like burn themselves with hot soup, or in meat
Cutlery.
restaurants there's like very hot grills and
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
and
yeah.
like in food courts there's like a lot of people, so you might lose your kid, or like collision might happen and stuff like that. So that's like the best agreement
Mhm.
on like we should have a no kid zone.
Mhm.
And a lot of people say that parents who have common sense would be considerate enough to take care of their kids and
Yeah.
avoid such places in the first place.
Yeah.
So parents wouldn't go to those kind of places if
Mm.
it's dangerous for their kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, most
Yeah.
parents don't. Most parents, when they consider, they're like, is there a, because you have to watch your kid 24/7. It's like 0.1 second and they're hurt. So they usually consider going to a family restaurant
Yeah.
because then you can sit in your own
Yeah.
table with a high chair and stuff like that.
Right.
But there are always, with humanity, there's always going to be Karens and inconsiderate people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's not talk about like babies. What if you're like 5 or 6 too, right? And
Still.
then, but then I remember even a long time ago, we would go to like barbecue restaurants and stuff when we were young.
But I was
too.
well
I think
behaved.
it really depends on the parents
Yes.
as well. Like, Because I wouldn't touch the grill because I know it's hot, you know,
Yeah,
like when you
exactly.
are aware of that. So
And once when I was 6, I was like talking to the table next to me and just like grabbing their spoons. And
Yeah,
then my
yeah.
mom's like, no, you can't do
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
But
yeah,
some
yeah.
moms are like, oh, you're so cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not good.
So do you think this safety reason is a valid reason?
Yeah.
Especially because the court said it's the restaurant fault.
Okay.
Yeah.
And but the other question is, do you think this safety reason is the actual reason that the
No.
store
No.
owners are
Mhm.
declaring the no kid zone?
Part of it, yeah.
Do you think it's just a justification?
I would say it's about 30%.
Yeah.
Yeah. The others, it's just like we just don't want.
Yeah.
They don't
Can't
want to
deal
get
with it.
yeah,
Deal
yeah,
with
yeah.
it.
Yeah. Try to be a store owner and explain the mentality, Anna.
It's just like I want to use the like I could get sued. The reason for
Yeah.
my reason why I would want to have my kids like restaurant kids free, but it's just I don't want to deal with the annoyance of like screaming babies and
But when
causing
a
havoc.
baby
and-
comes, it's usually 2-3 adults coming with it. So isn't it a good business when you think about it?
Yeah, see that at the same time, I would also, if I actually had kids, and let's just say it's a restaurant that I really like, right? Personally, I feel like I would also be upset as well too, because if I can feel like I can take care of my kid well, then I could be like, oh, it should be up to me. Like, why is the restaurant deciding? So I understand like the parents' side too. If I were to just be in that perspective as well, like
Mhm.
I'll be kind of disappointed.
Mhm. But Anna thinks that the safety reason is a cover-up story.
Yeah.
Most of the
Just for the
time,
convenience
I
of the
think
store
so.
owners.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there are also a lot of other Korean people who want to go out and they don't want to hear kids.
Well, that's their problem. I feel like that's mean.
Yeah. Okay. And as a clear example of the safety thing, there was actually a Supreme Court ruling regarding a public bathhouse. You know, you've been to public
yeah, yeah,
baths.
yeah,
Yeah.
Like
and-
saunas.
yeah, and it's very slippery there, right? It's
Oh,
very
yeah.
humid and you know, it's very dangerous for kids too. But not kids in this case, but actually for blind people and visually
Impaired people.
impaired people. So one public bathhouse restricted blind people from entering
Oh,
their
okay.
facility because they were saying it's dangerous. You might slip. Then who's going to take
Yeah,
the
then it's our
responsibility? It's our
responsibility.
responsibility.
Right.
And then normally that would be discriminative, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like you're not taking disabled people.
Yeah.
But then the Supreme, like this went on to a legal court, whatever, and they ruled in favor of the public bathhouse.
Why this time they rule in favor of the bathhouse?
I don't know. The
That's really
justice system
bizarre.
is just
Yeah, what's the
what's the
like,
justification?
Well, so the reason was the court sided with the owner of the public bathhouse because despite the Discrimination Act or whatever, rejection shall not be made without a justifiable reason. If you see that line, there was a justifiable reason in like common sense.
Oh, because they know that if the blind person gets hurt, the court will. So the court is basically saying if the blind person gets hurt, the bathhouse will be punished.
No, I think you should decipher it as like, you know, oh, there is a high probability that a blind person might get hurt in the
Okay.
bath house. So
Okay.
it is a legit reason, you know, legitimate reason.
And
How
even
about,
some
like,
restaurants have like, oh, I have the right to refuse service too if like somebody is rude and stuff. So I
Right.
think that is also very similar. Like the
But it's
bathhouse, they have
different
the
because
right to
being
refuse.
rude, you can control that behavior.
Yeah.
But being disabled, maybe they should implement laws to make it more like friendly.
Right.
Maybe have those
Accessible.
like
dotted.
those bumpy
Yeah,
stuff
bumpy
on the
things, and
floor.
I know it's a lot of money for the bathhouse to do that, but maybe the government can, provide money or
Yeah, that's a good point.
yeah,
Yeah.
instead of just being like, don't go anywhere because they're already disabled people in Korea. We don't see them. They usually stay at home.
Yeah.
And it's quite sad.
Yeah, it's very hard for
it's
them.
difficult to move around,
Mhm,
especially in Korea.
And of course, if you go to the opposition side, I think you guys might have a lot of things to say because you are pro no kid zone. So in terms of opposition of the no kid zone, so people who are
In favor.
against
Oh, okay.
having a no kid zone. So what do you think their reasons would be?
Oh, their reasons would be they would be very left and liberal and inclusive and being like, you can't give them the option to ban a certain thing. It's a
Yeah.
human right to have access to everything. That would be their reasoning, right?
And
Yeah,
you
pretty
guys,
much.
what do you think?
And
Yeah.
also in Korea, like when parents go out, the reason why they're going out is probably because it's like their rest day too and stuff. So it's also their type of freedom to bring their kids out and have the parents is like kind of rest day as well.
Yeah,
with
like
their
welfare.
kid.
Yeah.
So I feel like in a way they feel like it's unfair because they're not getting treated correctly.
Yeah,
their
and
kid isn't
they're getting like
treated correctly.
ostracized from
Both
society
sides, yeah.
without their will.
Mhm.
You know, it's not like, oh, we don't only want the kids, but it's just like, oh, like this is our time to bring out the kids and like have family time as well. But like, why do we have to choose where we have family time? I think
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in the case for like normal restaurants, which don't have like dangerous things like bakeries or cafes,
Yeah,
what do you think
cafes.
of no kid zones and cafes?
Mm. That is also because some people really do want to go to a cafe just to have quiet time. They want to study,
work.
work.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's the same
No.
thing. Like, people should be able to choose which kind of establishment, which kind of vibe they want to go to.
Mm-hmm.
I think people should be allowed to like provide options.
But I think the question is about like the boundary of what baby action can we endure, because like some people are like, I can't even endure a crying baby on a plane, but some people
Yeah.
are like, oh, I don't mind if a baby's getting their clothes changed next to me in a restaurant. But so everyone is different, but I think we should have more kindness. And in the West, like they have a history of like no black zone, like no black people, and that is really, again, like stigma against black people, and it can connect to like, I don't like babies, and that's not good because our birth rate is so low already, so we should be
Yeah.
more baby friendly.
So actually, recently I went to a restaurant. It was kind of a more quiet like restaurant, and my friend, she had a baby. She brought the baby. We were like all eating together. There was the only baby that was at the restaurant, and it was pretty quiet. But the baby would obviously be crying and stuff, and the whole restaurant would be like looking at
Staring
her,
at her.
right? Like,
Oh.
why aren't you like, your baby's crying? Like, why are you not doing something?
Yeah.
And I also started to feel, even though it wasn't my baby, like I
Irritated?
always started to feel, no, like I felt 눈치 보여 because everybody
Well,
was
did your
like,
friend start
looking
doing
at us.
something?
Yeah, so she had to like go in and out.
Oh,
in and
it
out,
was
in
your
and out.
friend
Yeah,
with the
my
baby.
friend had the
Oh.
baby, and I kind of experienced it firsthand because I saw like everybody looking. They were like eating, and then they're like,
Oh, so
Yeah, so I was
so
like,
loud.
But
oh,
like,
okay,
yeah,
yeah.
being on a plane and having a baby, that's different because unless you're like mega rich and you can afford your own private plane or you're sitting in business
Yeah,
or
we have
whatever.
no
Everyone's going
choice.
But
to
you're like,
something.
yeah, you have no choice if you're just sitting on a plane. But like, there are bazillion cafes in Korea. So I feel like some cafes should, if they want to only have a certain clientele, they should be able to have the right
Okay.
to.
Right.
And
Okay.
also,
Yeah.
some cafes have many floors, so they do have floors for studying,
Oh,
floors for
that's-
like
that's
you know,
good.
like different types
Yeah.
of.
And they
like,
do have a lot of kid cafes in
Yeah.
Seoul.
Yeah.
There are
Yeah,
so many
very
kid
kid
cafes.
friendly.
But if I was a mom, I wouldn't just want to go to a kids cafe.
Yeah,
that's
either.
true.
Like, do you know
That
what I
is
mean? Like,
true.
I wouldn't want to do that. So if each floor had like one is a little bit more free, one is for studying, one is for just like regular customers, I feel like then it'll be so much more easier. But like, what mom would just want to go to a kids cafe?
That's
Yeah,
true.
that's
Yeah,
true.
that's
Yeah.
true.
But basically the people that are on the opposite side, like saying like the no kid zones are bullshit, is saying the safety issues that are being the reasoning for no kid zone, that's BS too, because you know, the restaurants, cafes that are not dangerous, it doesn't make sense for not allowing kids to be there.
Well, technically, all restaurants are dangerous for kids because they can
Yeah.
bang their head and
They can literally get hurt
can.
anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
you
can
can literally
bang
get
their
hurt
they
anywhere.
can. Their mobility is really like not
I mean,
good.
with that logic, everyday life everywhere is
Yeah,
dangerous.
yeah,
You can just
yeah.
Yeah,
trip
I
on
think the really bad thing was the court case. The fact that
Mm.
they sided with the parents. That was just the yeah.
it. Right. So to take a look in the public's opinion about this, according to a poll conducted by Hangul Research on November 12th, 2021, 71% of the respondents said that no kid zone should be allowed.
Okay.
And only 17 said that it could not be allowed. So the mass majority of Korea is saying, yeah, we should have no kid zones.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know what you think about this,
That doesn't
but
surprise me.
yeah, it,
yeah.
it represents us well right now.
Yeah.
Like
Doesn't
even
surprise me.
all four of us
Yeah.
is like, it should be allowed.
Because
Yeah.
I feel like no kid zones should not be allowed. I think maybe that's too left because people can go too right, but you can also go too left. So to disallow a certain thing,
Yeah.
and it's not like ever since the no kid zone was allowed, it's not like so many places are becoming no kid zone anyway. It's not spreading like crazy. So-
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like when it's too
It's a
left. Like
choice.
for example, clubs. Sometimes if you're over the age of 30, they're saying you can't come in.
Yeah.
Or like even to girls, they're like if you're wearing open toe shoes, you can't come in.
Right.
They're
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you just have to
Yeah,
accept
but
like
that
some
and
rules
age
are
is
rules.
different.
Yeah.
That and age is different.
So
That is
speak-
safety.
So speaking of discrimination, of course, the opposite side will take on the agenda of human rights. You know, the point of human rights. So, do you think this is against human rights? Do you think this is discriminative?
At this level, no.
At this level, no.
No.
No, because like I said, there are so many bazillion cafes and establishments in Korea that you can choose from.
So there are
Really?
alternatives. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not like
You know
a
how you said
big
there's a lot of-
corporate cafe like Starbucks, no kid zone. It's
Yeah.
like public owned cafes, like
yeah.
no kid zone
Yeah.
at my cafe.
okay.
I feel like it's we wouldn't know because we're not parents, but like ever since I started hanging out with more of my like friend who was pregnant, it is very limited where
Is
they
it?
can go. Like
Okay.
eat, like they usually go to like malls. So if you guys go to like Starfield, like outside of Seoul, that's
Yeah.
where like all the parents are because if you go to regular restaurants, they don't have baby changing, like, you know, restrooms where you could do a diaper change. And I realized that because at the restaurant, they didn't have a diaper changing like place.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of
Really?
places aren't already baby friendly in
How about
general.
That's
Starbucks?
true.
Do they have a baby changing place at the bathroom?
I
feel
think
like
they do.
Starbucks
Like the
do.
bigger cafes,
Yeah.
they do. But
Okay.
I think that's why parents actually they go to more. They avoid it in general. They're not gonna go to
Anyways.
anyways. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like because they want to go somewhere where they can be more comfortable. Like my
Right.
friend had to literally go back to her car, change the baby's diapers,
Ah.
and then come back into the restaurant, and like she had to do that twice. So I was like,
I never thought about
Yeah, I
that
was like,
because I live in
oh,
Yeonhee-dong and it's all
oh.
hipster cafe places, and
Yeah.
literally the bathroom is just concrete and just
Yeah.
very hipster,
Yeah.
exposed bricks, and no baby changing station I've ever seen in my area. So,
So
that
I feel like
must-
that's why they go to a little bit more like mainstream places or kids cafes because they have accessibility
Utility,
to that.
Yeah.
Or like department stores. Department stores have really Korean
yes,
department
yes,
stores have
yes.
really good, like, you know,
Right.
changing
But I feel like
stations.
Starbucks do, like the big corporations, they do accommodate for baby.
Sometimes if
Yeah.
they have the space.
Yeah.
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 But as Subin pointed out, it's already not baby friendly,
Yeah,
kid friendly.
yeah.
And if you have no kid zones on top of that, then where do the moms go and
Yeah,
families
I
go?
think
So
that's why, like, I feel
yeah,
like
but the Soobeanie is saying the no kid zones, they were not kid friendly in the first place anyway. So
Yeah,
the
yeah.
moms didn't go there.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
they don't
okay,
go
okay.
there. Yeah.
okay, but now they have more limited places and there's a
To
legal
go.
justification
Right.
to speaking of legal, just to give you info, in South Korea, the no kid zone, it's not determined illegal by law. So right now, under the current status of the law, you are allowed to, as a private store owner, you can designate a no kid zone in your cafe. So it's not illegal at all. And actually, there have been disputes about this from, of course, moms.
Yeah.
And the court all ruled in favor to the owners of
Okay.
having a no kid zone. So when something happens in a cafe, they rule in favor towards the parents. But if the store owner says there's a no kid zone in the first place, and then someone disputes against it, then the law is
liabilities,
in
yeah.
favor to the store
Interesting.
owner.
But
So
it also has to do with social consensus because I was in Sweden and there were these moms who were breastfeeding in public. And can you imagine in Korea doing you can't do that in public. So the moms had the choice to go to any cafe, even sit in the balcony outside, and they can just breastfeed the baby and no one would if you say something against that, you're a piece of shit. You're like
Yeah.
that's illegal for you to say something discriminatory because
Yeah.
the baby has to eat. But in Korea, that's not the social consensus at all. Then in that case, the people who are against no kid zone, would they be like, we have to mandatory if you're gonna open up a shop, have to have like these baby changing stations? Is that what they want? Like, what's their solution?
they just want to abolish the no kid zone thing. They think it's discriminatory.
But in the Korean
discriminatory.
society, that has a problem because we
Yeah.
can't just take out our breasts and feed
I
our
don't think
baby.
it's the matter of breastfeeding. It's just like whether you can allow your kids into cafes or not. Like there are different levels.
Yeah,
of,
but it's because it encompasses everything because the baby has to change diapers
yeah.
and eat and
Right,
they
right.
don't want to see that. That's
Right.
Yeah.
So
Korean
like
people.
it can go on forever, the list of things that
Yeah.
are uncomfortable with
Yeah.
a baby
Take
and
care
stuff.
of our baby.
Yeah, because like if you see the articles, I think you guys said it before, but there were moms like changing diapers in
On the
restaurants.
table.
Like
Oh,
so,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
eating
yeah.
right
Yeah,
there. And then,
nobody wants that.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
bad.
you don't
That's
want
a
to
no.
see your
Yeah.
kid like pooping.
Yeah, nobody wants
and
that.
like screaming.
Okay, I have a
yelling.
question. Would you guys agree in mandating like kid changing zones everywhere as welfare, like in the bathroom?
I personally think it is needed because when I saw my friend and how uncomfortable it was, that's what she's like. I can't come out as much. I can only go to department stores or the malls where they actually do have it.
But like I said, like some of those hipster cafes, they have like the tiniest toilets. How are they
Yeah.
gonna
Yeah.
So
It's
accommodate?
just not
How-
feasible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't do it.
So many just really small, really
right,
private
and
owned
it's like
businesses.
more
It's not-
economic burden to
Yeah,
small
yeah, it's
business
not gonna be
owners.
possible.
Yeah.
Right. Well, there was this article. There was one kid. Tell me what you think about this. There was one kid. He wasn't doing any harm or anything. He wasn't pooping and shitting all over the place, but he was just lying down on the chair with like no shoes on, and he was playing his Nintendo Wii
Okay.
and stuff like that. And the customers were like, "Oh, he's barefoot. He's lying down."
Well,
Like,
what kind of place?
just a
Kimbap
restaurant.
or
Just a
restaurant, okay.
restaurant. What do you think of that kind of behavior? Like moms usually go to cafes and restaurants and they chat by themselves and leave their kids alone. And their kids usually just lie down on like empty chairs and play games. You've seen that a lot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
how
when
old
I
was
was a
the kid?
child, I wasn't still in my seat either. So,
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what
They're
I
like
mean?
running around and going to
Yeah.
other seats.
For
and-
me, I don't think I would get so bothered by that. What I would
Yeah.
get bothered by if they're just screaming, crying
Mm.
Yeah.
constantly nonstop. But if
Yeah,
they're just lying on their I'll just be like, okay,
And Korean
it doesn't
people
really
don't wear
bother
shoes
me.
anyway, so it's fine. Like we wear shoes, but like our culture is like we wear
Yeah.
socks and stuff. So I don't mind the kid taking their shoes off.
No, I
Okay.
don't think I would care. I would just like be in my own. But if they're really interrupting my conversation, my space with the shenanigans,
Yeah,
then
and
I would
especially if
get
the
bothered.
game is like,
Yeah, yeah.
like if it's loud, then
Yeah.
maybe it's a bit distracting.
Yeah, so it's like, see, there's so many factors to consider.
Yeah.
So like, I think the store owners are just deciding, like, let's just not
I think it's
allow
just
it.
preference too. It's like if they can handle it as well, like having babies there or
Yeah.
restaurants. So
Oh
Mhm.
my god!
mean,
but
yeah.
even yesterday, it's not even just kids. Sometimes so it's adults like have no social awareness. Like I
Oh,
was,
yeah.
I was at a
definitely,
cafe yesterday and it was quiet. Everyone was kind of studying, and this one girl, she had her kato notifications, and it was like kato, 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 and like it was just like everyone was just like, dude, like looking at her, like, can you just not put it on silent? You're in
Yeah.
a public space. And
Right.
she was just like, nah, nah, nah.
Well, speaking of silent cafes and stuff, we have another segment about that, but let's leave that a little bit. Before we go on to that, I just want to tell the listeners that the No Kid Zones on November 24th, 2017, the National Human Rights Commission judged that the No Kid Zone was a discriminatory act.
Okay.
But this organization has no legal power. So it's just a recommendation and it's not a compulsory matter. So in the viewpoints of human rights organizations, it is a discriminatory act by the
It
book.
is discriminatory, but I also understand the service department, when there's like people saying this is a problem, that is a problem, it's always safe to go the conservative route.
Yeah.
And just like no kids
That's
at
true.
all.
That's
yeah.
true. Against this National Human Rights Commission, the store owners were angry and they were like, are you going to be responsible for our sales if it goes down, if kids like completely ruin our business and stuff? So sales is the most important factor. It's and it's a livelihood.
But it
for
is
store owners.
discriminating, though. It is
Yeah.
yeah,
discriminating.
it is. In a way, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then they would argue it's discriminatory towards us as well, our rights for like being
Well, I
a
think
store
the
owner and
right
stuff. Yeah.
boundary, right line to take is it is discriminatory. Let's acknowledge that,
Yeah.
but let's make it legal for it to be a choice to make it.
Yeah,
you know,
that's
kids
very
zone.
ironic, isn't it? Everybody knows it's discriminatory, but like, okay, let's just allow it because, you know.
So we also have to be considerate to the small business owners.
Yeah, I think it's like just a classic moral problem, you know.
Yes.
Like,
Okay, well, David, what do you think about that?
I said I think we need no kid zones. Yeah, like because I'm a part of the majority too. You know,
Yeah.
the majority of society. But every time we talk about these issues with like disabled people and other stuff,
But do these kind of like no kids things like do they exist in the West?
yeah, they do.
Kids
Apparently, they
zone.
do.
Oh,
Mhm. And they've been there for a while, and it's not illegal at all. But
Once I was on a plane with a crying baby. It was like a 14-hour flight, and it's really difficult. But then after that, I carry earplugs. You know, I'm prepared because
Yeah,
what
like I said,
what can you
like,
do?
so many times on a flight too. I've said
Yeah.
like, there's nothing you can do. You just have to
yeah,
stick
and
it
the
out.
baby has to go home and stuff. You know, you can't just be
But I
like,
imagine
Yeah.
in the West, like if you go to like I don't know fancy Michelin star restaurants, I feel like they might have certain restrictions.
oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
yeah, they even have clothing restrictions.
Yeah.
Right,
So-
right. So the issue goes on into like expansion of where does this line stop?
Yeah,
you know,
that's hard.
So there are controversies, similar controversies, such as not accepting foreigners in clubs.
Right.
Yeah.
Not
no-
accepting old people.
Yeah, not accepting old people, no Chinese people in certain restaurants because of COVID.
Yeah.
There was a lot of those
Oh,
signs,
okay.
like
Yeah,
no
yeah, yeah.
Chinese. And then there are, the no study zones in cafes because a lot of people just plug in their cord and
Stay there 8
order one
hours.
Americano and
They
stay
stay there for like
10
8 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everybody's just silent and like as you said, you can't even like talk
Talk.
in a cafe
Yeah.
because everybody's just studying.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah.
like very not good for the store owner, right?
Yeah.
And then there are like some restaurants that made a no above 49 male zone
Oh, okay.
really?
because the store owner, I don't know, maybe she was pretty or something, or it doesn't really matter. She was female and
She was getting harassed.
yeah, she was getting
Oh.
constantly harassed by old dudes.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
my god.
So she was like, I don't want to,
Deal
And I
with
saw
them.
like a
Old dude.
buffet, all you can eat buffet, saying
Yeah.
like no athletes.
Right.
allowed.
No athletes.
Wow.
Because
You
they
eat too
eat a
much.
lot.
Yeah.
You eat too much.
Yeah. And then there are no YouTuber zones because they come and vlog.
Hi guys, I'm gonna vlog today.
Yeah, and in Korea, everybody's so sensitive about being
Their
on,
face,
on
yeah,
camera and
yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
so
yeah,
it's
yeah.
uncomfortable for the others. And there were like no unvaxxed zones and all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. So where do you think the line stops? Like you guys agreed to no kids zones, okay? But like in the grand scheme of things, you guys are admitting
Right.
that if there is harm to the store owner in some extent, the store
Yeah.
owner has some right.
How
to
much
restrict.
choice do we give
Yes,
But
them?
like,
exactly.
I don't feel like all those things, YouTubers or I'm just like, I kind of get it because it's like,
Yeah, no YouTubers, I get
I
it.
don't feel discriminated against.
I
No,
mean,
I get it.
I get it. I get
Yeah,
no
when they
YouTubers.
ask me, I'm like, okay, like I won't do it. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. It's like, and I feel like, yeah, for me, like each establishment, if they want to do that, I feel like they should just have the choice.
Okay, you're okay with the no YouTuber zone. But what about the no foreigners in clubs?
I mean, sometimes when I was in London, like I've experienced the reverse too. Sometimes they're just like, yeah, no Asians or whatever.
Yeah, but that's partly their excuses because
Yeah.
if you get in a fight, the legal it's very tricky because you're a foreigner,
Mhm.
and that is true.
Mhm.
It is tricky.
Yeah. And what about no Chinese people in restaurants?
Well, now it's gone.
Yeah.
I hope.
No,
Yeah.
I mean that.
But do you think it was valid during COVID?
But people were so scared. Even the mainstream news in Korea were saying these very racist things about Chinese people.
Yeah.
So like how the public business owners, they know nothing. So they're just gonna, they're acting out of fear.
Right. So
yeah, but it is a tricky line, right?
it is
It
a
is
slippery
super
slope.
What if
tricky.
what if some restaurants are like, yeah, no fat people allowed?
Oh
yeah,
my
like this kind of
God.
thing.
No,
yeah.
only,
No
we're
smelly
hipster,
people.
hipster cafe,
Yeah.
so only hipster people.
No
can
I think
singles.
the biggest thing was like vax and no vax. Remember,
Yeah.
like people who didn't get vaccinated, they
Yeah,
couldn't
this
go
was a major issue.
anywhere. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
even in America and Korea.
Yeah.
And I feel like being vaccinated is a choice. And obviously, there's gonna be people who say no, pro, and yes. But still, like some people don't want to get vaccinated, but they want
and
to
some
go
people
out
couldn't
too.
get vaccinated because they suffer with
Health
cancer
yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah. But
Mhm.
then they also got like people who had like health
Yeah, they had a
issues,
pass,
they had a pass.
but some restaurants were like, even with the
Yeah.
pass, we don't want to deal with this.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, the opposite side is saying like if you accept no kid zones legally, and if the social consensus becomes store owners can selectively choose their guests.
They could choose anything.
Yeah, they
selectively.
could say
No, it's a
it could go
business.
back to like the 1930s and 20s where
No,
there were
it's
No
like
women
no
or
colored.
No men.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's
Only
like
whites.
it's a very very tricky subject.
But I don't think it's gonna be to that level. I think that's like a slippery slope
I
logic.
hope it doesn't go up to that level because
It's
I
not
feel like
going
as of right now
because
we
you need
haven't-
customers.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
so, they're saying that everything will be invite based now or something. Like it doesn't make any sense.
But it's just like how much freedom do you give the store owners in terms of discriminatory and selective?
But if you're a
acts?
discriminatory store owner, most likely you're gonna be out of business.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's also
You
true.
have to
Or
be
another good
inclusive.
thing too, maybe they can have like a time, also like a time,
Time
where they
limit?
can have like they'll be like 6 to 8, like we'll serve families who have like kids too, but then
Okay,
maybe from like after.
it's for
Like,
after
that could be
work.
like another like option if we're really trying to think of like solutions for like
Right.
like allowing that.
Mhm.
So.
But like you say, it's a business, so the business has a certain clientele. When
Yeah.
like clothing, they have a specific like market they want to target.
Yeah.
And like you said, if the business goes out of business like that, then it's over for them. Like
Yeah.
But if they separate the times, they can target both markets too.
Yeah,
So I
but
guess
that's a hassle
yeah,
too.
that's a hassle too. Yeah.
So right. So in terms of low birth rate, Korea is declining in population.
0.6.
Yes. No kids are being born. Do you think the no kid zones thing is aggravating the low birth rate?
Absolutely. If I were
Absolutely?
to have a kid, I would think about how kid friendly is a society, and
Mhm.
Korea is not a kid friendly society compared to Sweden and other. Sweden is one of the most kid friendly zones, but people do consider that before having a child. So I
Yeah.
would
No,
say
it really isn't
contributes.
kid friendly. Like
Yeah,
I
exactly.
really realized I didn't think about it before until I actually saw it for myself. I was like, oh, this is difficult.
Did that make you double think about? Having
Yeah,
a
I was like,
child?
oh, maybe like raising a child in Korea might be more difficult than I thought. Is what I thought.
So
Like,
Soobeanie, you're thinking of getting a child in the future, right?
yeah.
And
Getting a child,
like
like,
hearing this whole
from the
debate.
mall. Getting a
no,
child.
having a child. Okay.
getting a
Yeah.
child.
Well, you can adopt. Oh, never mind.
Yeah, you can adopt.
Yeah. So, anyways, so if you're considering to have a child, hearing this whole debate, does it affect you in a way?
Yeah,
the
it
no
does.
kid
It does.
zone.
That's what I was saying. Like,
Mm.
I think I would feel affected because if I think about my friend, I feel like she wouldn't like them being no kid zones either. 'Cause
Mhm.
as a mother, you know.
Mhm.
So I mean,
Yeah. So, do you think it's unfair for like married people and people with kids being restricted to certain places, and it's harder for them to like?
It is
I think
unfair.
so. It is
But then the
unfair.
question is, are we willing to give up our tax money to give welfare to them?
Mm,
it
Yeah,
is
make it
unfair because I
mandatory.
can't fully speak for them because I'm not in their position. You
Yeah.
know, but I know if I were to do that, it would be.
But are you
unfair.
guys willing
is
to
it
give up
that-
your tax money to make it more kid friendly?
But is it that severe to the point where it's just like moms like? But I feel like there are still so many options you can go out.
Yeah,
to.
but it's like it's always limited. It's gonna be like 3, 4
But let's
places.
just,
That's
it's
your
just like
area.
the hassle, right? Us, we can go anywhere,
Right.
right? But
Without
then
planning,
the
without
parents
planning.
will have to literally be like, oh, check first if it's a no
If it's-
kids
Yeah,
zone.
well, when you become a parent, there are loads of things that you suddenly have to
Yeah,
do.
Yeah, but let's make
saying
it
though,
easier
like-
as a society.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
we're saying like that's what they would have to go through, you know?
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm. So yeah, of course, some people might be pressured and think like the no kid zone. It's like another layer on top of being
Yeah.
uncomfortable as a parent and stuff like that. But a lot of people on the other side says that this has no correlation to low birth rate.
Yeah, I don't think it has a
that's
much
BS.
significance
It
at
does.
all.
Like
It
so.
I really don't think it's an important factor. It's just like the housing and like everything else.
I
Yeah,
mean,
so
that
these,
is-
these
yeah.
people are T's in MBTI. So these people are saying the primary problems of Korea's avoidance of childbirth are low wages, low employment,
Yeah, of course.
employment
That's
rate,
what I agree.
murderous
Yeah.
working hours, insufficient childcare environment,
course.
Yeah.
and the wrong education
Yeah,
system.
yeah.
Not no kid zones.
Yeah, like no, it's like really low on the list. is
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah, I
saying.
agree.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
more
yeah.
important
Yeah,
things.
so
to
it's
solve.
not a deal breaker or anything, but
Yeah.
it could
Yeah, yeah,
add up into
Of
that.
course, it
Yeah,
adds
yeah, of
up.
course, of
yeah.
course, yeah.
Mhm. But like these people being super rational and not having kids probably
I'm
saying,
T.
yeah, this has nothing to do with
Yeah.
the low birth rate. So let's not even
Okay,
bring
let's
in
say
the
that society is
yeah.
Sweden and super kid friendly and
Mhm.
no kid zone is legalized. People are still gonna have kids. But on top of all these other bad factors
Yeah.
and no kid zone is just, it's not good. It's
Right.
gonna add on.
Right. But yeah, so actually these people are also arguing, they're going even further and saying when the number of customers with children increase due to the rising birth rate, the business owner has no choice but to eliminate the no kid zones for the sake of income.
Yeah, they would.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
demand.
they would, yeah.
Yeah, so there's no reason for like them to keep on
Yeah,
doing the
it's
no
their
kids.
choice keeping
Yeah,
them.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
that's
yeah,
true.
so I mean logically it makes sense, I
Yeah.
guess. But if you feel the actual pressure of a parent, then,
Yeah.
it might be like an extra factor of like
A lot of moms get depressed because they have to stay home
Oh,
with
yeah.
their child because
That's
they
so
can't eat
true.
out. It's hard
Mhm.
to eat out.
That's so true.
yeah.
and then if this becomes like a very
Mainstream.
common norm and it becomes
Yeah.
mainstream, every single cafe out there declares no kid zone and it's legal, then moms have nowhere to go.
Yeah,
so
that's bad.
I think it's really rare to see moms outside in Seoul just at regular restaurants, like just hanging out.
Yeah.
It's usually like places like I see like moms hanging out at like Starfield together, like pushing carts
Yeah,
together.
yeah.
Because that's the only places kind of allowing
I was
it.
really surprised because I was in Sweden on a Tuesday,
Yeah.
2 p.m. They call them latte papas because
Uh.
there's dads pushing strollers
Yeah.
to anywhere with a latte in their hand because it's so
Yeah.
kid friendly. And I cannot imagine my dad when I was a baby, 2 p.m. on a Tuesday,
Yeah,
strolling me
yeah.
anywhere. It's unimaginable.
Oh, actually, I have a similar experience. I haven't experienced the no kid zone thing, but my my aunt, my aunt has like a very beloved puppy. She literally raises him like her child. She has no children. She's not married, so he is her child, and she takes him everywhere. Like this doggo just follows us to family
Yeah.
lunches and stuff. And apparently, of course, the restaurants don't allow pets, right? They're not pet friendly. So she puts him on a stroller and says like, "I'll get takeout," and then she strolls in the department store eating with her dog
Yeah,
with
yeah.
a sandwich. But if you just replace that with a kid, then I think it would apply.
Parents already do that.
Yeah, parents
yeah.
already do that. It just reminded me with Kelsey's story, like the latte dads. and
dogs
stuff.
too,
Yeah, so
yeah.
they have to like do takeout and then stroll outside and eat their sandwiches and
Or only go to like certain like dog cafes
Yes,
where
yes,
there's
yes.
like or restaurants that allow dogs.
Yeah, right. So very tricky, very tricky. But after this whole debate, did your minds kind of change? Are you still standing with your
I think it's fine.
original standpoint?
Yeah.
It's still okay?
Yeah, it's not a crazy amount of cafes. I
Okay.
don't know. I'm not a parent.
I would want to know the entire statistic, like exactly like the ratio for moms, like what kind of establishments can they go into? Because I still feel like there are still loads of restaurants you
okay.
can. You can just
Interview her again.
most
after
businesses
she's
they
a
want to make
mom.
money.
Okay.
They want to
I
make
think
money.
Anna's gonna face some heat in the comments.
Really?
yeah, maybe. So that was about no kid zones today. It was a very interesting debate. Like I think during the debate and the talk, maybe Soobeanie and Kelsey kind of leaned towards like, okay, maybe the no kid zone might be unfair. It could be pressuring to the parents, but at the same time, like if you come back, your original stance is like
Yeah,
still
yeah,
it's
yeah.
okay to have no
Yeah,
kid
Yeah,
zones.
yeah.
It is discriminatory, but it's okay for it to be legal for
Yeah.
the choice.
Yeah, and Anna's like, there are alternatives anyway. So, like,
How about you?
Yeah, I still think it's okay as well.
Do you think it's discriminatory?
It's up to the store owner, and I think it's going to be case by case. And like society is not perfect anyways.
Yeah.
So there will be legal disputes here and there about where's the boundary, and then now if this expands into like racial issues and like disabilities, then
we can have another talk.
we can have another talk about
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But for no kid zones, if it just doesn't become like super mainstream and every cafe doesn't turn into that, then yeah, I kind of agree with Anna as well.
Also, yeah, I mean, it's down to everyone's obviously, you cannot. It's impossible to control your kid like 100%. But it's down to a lot of like the parents' job to like make sure he's not just like wreaking havoc all over the place.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
you have to have responsibility.
And a lot of people who have the likewise mindset of Anna, like I've seen their comments, and they were like, you know what? This is all because of the parents' bad record. You know, they set this for themselves because they didn't take care of their kids. They were irresponsible, and they drove the store owners to do this. I don't know if that's gaslighting or just blaming, but that's a major, narrative here from the opposite
like, for example, if your kid is like go around other tables and just like throwing bread at them or just like
it's
bothering
only
them.
cute to you. You have to realize that you're setting off Karen behavior.
Yeah,
and
you can't act
everyone
like
is
that.
noting that.
Yeah.
But parents are also aware of that too. It's just like
Some are not.
Yeah, some aren't either.
Yeah.
But I know like a lot of parents, they go out when the kids are a certain age too. Like when they know that they can kind of act okay, or they know how to handle situations. They don't take the kids out if they don't know how to handle certain situations.
I think the comments are too extreme, being like Karens. I've never seen that crazy baby parents Karen.
Do you think there are a lot of Karens in Korea though?
Yes.
Yes.
You just said you've never seen.
But like parents in Korea, they're usually, as soon as a baby cries, they go out. They're very usually
They feel bad.
Yeah, actually, the Karen problem and the overly protective parent figure is becoming a problem in society nowadays too. Because like you've heard the recent teachers protest and stuff because of the suicide, and people are blaming that towards like overly protective parents, thinking that their only child is like the most
center of the
universe, and the teachers should like bow down to them and like all that kind of stuff. So this all extends in other categories. So maybe that's another topic.
Yeah.
I didn't realize this is gonna be such a
Long-
political
yeah,
talk. Like
it is
this.
political.
It's
yeah.
very
It
political.
is
But I think that's
political.
also a fallacy to have those few examples and make it seem like
That's
the
true.
majority of people are like that, because they're not. Yeah.
At the same time, I feel bad that the parents are outnumbered by singles and like the
Young
low birth
people,
rate society. Yeah, so it's not going to get better for them in the future at all at this rate. So
I mean, no, it's getting better. Like
It
now, like when you give birth, like the country gives you more money too. There's like different ways that they're helping out, and they really want to
they're
raise their
trying.
birth rate, so they're trying.
But
But-
fundamentally,
Well,
Not
society-
Fundamentally, yeah.
society wise, I feel like
yeah, so it's a very hard problem to solve. Anyways, that was it for today's talk. Please let us know your opinions about the no kid zones. I would really like to hear the examples in your own countries. Like I think it would be very different in, I don't know, Europe, America,
And even like Southeast
Asia.
Asia, because like there's so many like
Babies.
Yeah, like
a lot of
places like
babies.
India, they have so many babies. Like are
Yeah.
babies allowed in restaurants and
They
stuff?
must
Southeast
be.
Asia, like all the time. Whenever I go, they have like families with multiple babies outside.
Yeah, and
so-
even in like Latin America, Mexico, they
Yeah,
value
yeah.
family a lot.
yeah.
So like I don't know.
Maybe this is crazy to them.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah,
that
yeah,
is
yeah.
crazy to them.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
what? No kid zones?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd be really curious to see the comments. Leave them down below, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment to this video. And you can listen to this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Please give 5-star reviews and a nice comment. Please subscribe to their channel.
Kelsey the Korean.
Follow them on their socials, and check out our Patreon, because there's a lot of exclusive perks for you guys. It really helps me going on with the Korean Pizza Club podcast.
David.
And yes,
Support us in every way.
yes. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.